Hey everyone, this is our 300th show today, and it is brought to you by Avast, the global leader in digital security, and they are dedicated to protecting us and you and everybody out there from hackers, from viruses, from malware, spyware, everything that is going to garbage up your PC, your mobile phones, your laptops. Look, Avast is what we use here. It's lightweight, it's really easy, and it's free. Check it out. For more information, go to avast.com. That's avast.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the FantasyJocks.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Number 300.
Tricentennial!
300. We did it. Sparta.
This is Sparta!
Look, the Cubs have only won one World Series since we started this show, and it was last night. Congratulations to the Cubby fans. What a game that was. I don't know if I was more excited for the Cubs or for myself just because Jason watched baseball.
Oh, man. Let me just say this, because if we're going to talk baseball for just a minute here, I am the type of guy. Look, I'm a diehard football fan. I grew up with basketball, always hated baseball, still do. I don't appreciate other sports. I'm football first, second through seventh.
Sure.
But man alive, that game last night was great. I don't care who you are. My wife was like, when she left halfway through, she was sad to leave, and she doesn't like sports, let alone baseball. But that game, that awful baseball game, was just incredible. I mean, I could not take myself away, and it was fun.
I think my favorite, I'm a baseball fan. I love baseball. I love the playoffs. I love the history of the game. One of my favorite moments was David Ross hitting that home run at 39 years old. His final game as a player, he hits a home run in Game 7 to help win the World Series for the Chicago Cubs for the first time in 108 years. Shout out to the Indians fans. That must have been very painful, but what a season they had. So, just incredible. Great sports. Great sports.
This has been a really good time for sports all around. And I don't know enough about the Cubs. I tweeted out the game was like 3-6, something like that. The Cubs were up. And I tweeted out because I was enjoying it so much. I said, look, if every baseball game was a game seven of a World Series, it would be the GOAT. Yeah. And I put a little GOAT symbol.
Oh, no.
And then a minute or two later, the game was tied, and everyone started yelling at my
Yeah, bad decision. Bad decision.
They broke the curse.
So here's what we got going on football-wise for the show today. The Fantasy Footballers back again. It is Thursday, November 3rd, our 300th episode, so we have a few special things planned for today, as well as the standard Thursday episode. We've got our fantasy forecast, starts of the week, Jason Moore's Boom Boom Kicker of the Week.
Locked and loaded, man.
Locked and loaded.
I'm just such a kicker expert.
Now, we are doing some giveaway stuff. We're going to do an afternoon Periscope.
You're darn right we are.
To celebrate the 300th episode.
We're going all out, Foot Clan. Look, we're going to have a Periscope sometime this afternoon. You better stay tuned. Stay by that Twitter. Stay by that Periscope. Turn on the notifications.
What is that Twitter, Mike?
The FF Ballers at the FF Ballers, because you know what we're going to do? In honor of it being show 300, we are going to give away $300 to shopballers.com.
What?
That is 6 $50 gift cards.
What?
That's pretty cool.
I don't know how you're going to get them yet.
We're going to figure
it out.
On the Periscope, though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you must be in attendance to win.
Today is just incredible.
And I'm going to throw this out there, too. I'm not going to limit us in terms of our generosity.
Oh.
I'm going to say if you surprise us with something on Twitter today in celebration of the 300th episode, something that we're impressed with, something unique, we might
throw you a little
something
gift card.
special.
What's our level of impressment? Are we talking like Shania Twain levels here? Like,
I don't know. It can be anything from like a David Johnson music video to like a David Johnson music video.
All the David Johnson.
I'm gonna go a little above that. Give me something good out there.
All right.
Look, the Foot Clan, they're so
No.
creative.
It has to feature them with original lyrics and produce an album.
Yeah, all right. That would impress me. That would do
Okay,
it.
so like I said, we've got a lot going on the website. We've got the Quarterback 1 primer going on there. The article matchups part 1 starts of the week will be on the website as well, which is the fantasyfootballers.com. Now, before we get into all of the good stuff for week 9, which you're preparing, your team is in the playoff hunt, you're fighting to either get back into it or maintain dominance, whatever it might be. Before we do all of that, we are going to we're going to step into the Wayback Machine. We're going to Brooks has been so kind, along with the help of one of our listeners, Jared Totten, who had kept sending us a bunch of clips.
Top men have helped us. And women,
Yeah.
of course.
So we have prepared a montage. And so some of the better moments of the show over the last 2 years. If you're a curmudgeon and you don't want to listen to this, you could skip ahead about 10 minutes and you'll be right back in the thick of week 9. We don't do this often, but we're going to travel back in time.
We do this once every 300 shows.
That's right. So enjoy. And here's the thing. This is why I'm excited about this, other than just wanting to look back at the past. I'm excited because there are certain inside jokes or comments that have been made over the last 2 years where if you've been a new listener, maybe you don't understand the reference, so you're probably going to be caught up on a few of those.
Oh, this should be good.
So enjoy. I'm pretty sure we're everywhere you can be as a podcast.
If we're not, let us know.
We're kind of like an infection. We just kind of go wherever.
Herpes are forever.
I wouldn't compare us to herpes.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
And yet you did. Thank you for that, Jason.
It's out there.
Good. It's out there. It's out there now.
Well, that's because I bring it.
Yeah.
I bring the junk talk. I bring the smack talk. I bring the crack talk. I bring it all.
Wait,
What
is
is
a crack?
What is the crack talk?
The cracks, like there's cracks in your team.
Sure.
I was thinking you were like hopped up on something.
Are Drew Brees, Brandon Cooks, and Willie Snead must starts for the game tonight? You enjoy that? Did you enjoy that, Mike?
Yeah.
You just replaying snarts in
You
your
sound
head?
like a Dr. Seuss character.
Yes. Would you snart him in a train?
I would. Would you?
I would not snort him on a plane.
I love Latavius Murray.
Say that again?
I love Latavius Murray. He is one of my favorite guys on
Would
this
you
list.
would you get on one knee and Murray him?
I would love to Murray Latavius Murray. He's young. He is a big boy. If you're listening to me, Foot Clan, I am telling you, you cannot bank on this advice.
You cannot bank on my advice.
And they asked me, you can do a great Chewbacca, right?
Let's hear it, Mike. Let's hear it. Oh, the answer is no.
It could be better.
I can't.
I really.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
All right. Well, I got to grow my beard out. That was not.
No.
All right.
No, all right. We all tried it now. All right. We needed your best. We needed your best today because this is a mailbag show,
It
man.
turned
We're
into the-
answering questions.
Turned into the mailbaggy.
Oh, I liked it.
Sam Bradford.
I just want an announcer to do it.
Now coming in, running back, David Johnson. David Johnson.
Somehow.
You know, it's a new playbook for both guys. One guy was coming in expecting, hey,
That's
I'm going
true.
to the NFL. I got to learn something. I'm ready to learn. The other guy pouted for a couple weeks and said, I'm not going to look at your playbook.
Is that what he said?
That's what he said.
Wait, that was a quote?
That was, direct. I just played the audio.
Play it again, would you? Would you play that again?
Yeah, he said, I'm not going to look at a playbook.
Why does he sound like Jim Gaffigan?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's Bradford's lazy. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Hey, being young isn't what it used to be. Just ask Trent Richardson. Hey, if you're gonna mock draft, if you heard the show on Tuesday,
mock Trent Richardson.
if you're gonna mock Trent Richardson, you can mock draft Trent Richardson on FantasyDraftWizard.com.
The other day, I was on Fantasy Draft Wizard, and I was trying to draft Trent Richardson. And I would click, and it would say, "Are you sure?"
And just kept
and
asking.
I would say yes. It would say, "Are you really sure?"
It's very good software.
I don't know what will take place with that value, but he's a handcuff. Yeah, he's the kind of handcuff that could, carry the load if Yeldon got hurt. So
But
I think
there's handcuffs, and then there's like a handcuff you want to
he's
have
a
on
handcuff. He's the second one.
handcuff.
Yeah, but I think the big difference, the big difference is last year Bilal Powell never, ever, ever had the value in the eyes of
Even
most
when he
that
was
TJ
dominating.
Yeldon,
No.
that TJ Yeldon has because of his rookie year.
handcuff.
But I think last year Bilal Powell was a handcuff. You know what I mean? As opposed to just a
I
handcuff.
totally know what you mean. Yeah.
He's like a modern Western handcuff.
So if you're, so let me ask you this: Charles Sims, which kind is
Oh, Charles Sims is a handcuff.
he? All right. So the modern Western. So if this is a valuable guy,
Right.
then we need him to be a handcuff. But if he's just like he's the backup, that's just a handcuff.
Niall Davis is more of a handcuff.
Okay. Not okay.
Niall Davis is like,
Niall Davis isn't even a handcuff. Niall Davis.
So let me ask you this, because I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious on this. Chris
I'm getting so
Johnson.
sweaty.
Chris Johnson.
handcuff.
All right. All right. He's a Western handcuff. All right. Then we've got this figured out. We need to have a handcuff show. Or do we need to have a handcuff show? This has gone on way too long.
We may never want to have that show if we want to have this show continue.
All right. Well,
Mike is gone.
I'm out.
Now he's got 2 games a year where he's playing against the Indianapolis Colts run defense, the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, the Tennessee Titans run defense. You darn right, Keel.
We get criticized for 2 pronunciations that are just, I guess, built in. One is Jaguars instead of Jaguars. And the other one is Bengals, like as though we said it with an A, like Bengals.
Because the Bengals are a band.
What is
a
that?
rock band from the 80s that sang about walking like an Egyptian.
What's that snack? Aren't those called Bengals?
No, those are called. Are those also
Bugles.
Bugles?
Come on. That's not even close. Don't mess with me on my snack knowledge, okay?
You're talking the ones you put them on your fingertips and you look
Yeah,
like
Edward Scissorhands.
Every time somebody says we say Bengals, I'm picturing those snacks.
That's a weird thing, man.
That's a
Samsonite.
weird thing. Samsonite. You were way off.
Don't mess with me on my snack knowledge, okay? And also, I would say this to all Foot Clan listeners: if you are live drafting and you show up at your draft without double stuffed Oreos, you are making a terrible mistake, and you have let me down.
There have been a number of tweets, including pictures of people at the draft with their double stuffed Oreos.
You're doing it right.
The first thing that comes to mind is meat.
What do they call me on Twitter, Mike?
They're calling you the Fantasy Reaper, my friend. You get high in Andy's rankings, you go down.
Believe it or not, it's at Andy Holloway, not the Fantasy Reaper.
Do I bring up what happened last time we mock drafted Arian Foster? People were worried about Allen Robinson.
Every injury in the NFL is a Fantasy Reaper sighting. We said fearless predictions. I'm going to say he's going to play all 16 games.
Oh, the Fantasy Reaper has cursed him. We just found out that Sam Bradford is out for the year.
No!
Breaking news.
What has transpired over the weekend? You know, Arian,
You're my boy.
twice, man. I'm Andy Holloway, and I'm an Arian Foster owner.
Steaming hot fantasy tip.
Oh. These are
Steaming hot.
I was waiting for the music to keep going, like the other drops where the music comes after.
Yeah.
And then we were just kind of groaning by ourselves on the radio.
And he's very attractive.
Who?
Tyler Eifert.
That is a strange comment. I didn't know where this was going. I'm just
It's
moving on.
going nowhere.
All right. You're just out of the blue saying Tyler Eifert is a nice looking gentleman.
Yes.
Okay. Tennessee.
I've got a golden ticket. You've got a golden ticket.
What is that?
That was
voice?
amazing.
That was amazing.
So
Are you the only person in the world that has a soft spot in their heart for Jay Cutler?
Jay Cutler's mom loves him a lot.
Not
think
from what I've heard.
Whoa.
say his wife?
Jay Cutty's mom on blast.
Jay got his mom on blast. Wow, there he has a history of not cleaning his room. Let me just put it that way.
I don't doubt that.
It smells very much like cigarette smoke in Jay Cutler's room.
Yeah, well, that's because Matty Snapback was over there and they were getting into trouble.
Am I going to be able to withstand victories for the next few weeks?
Did you say withstand victories? What does that mean?
Well,
I can always withstand a victory.
I have been able to withstand multiple victories since I started listening to this podcast. I've been too busy eating double stuffed Oreos and withstanding all these victories with my 3-1 record, thanks to the guys.
What do you think it's like for a new listener to the show to hear so many people reference withstanding victories? Do they just think that we are dumb?
No.
All right, and now it's time for Mike apologizes to Jeremy Macklin.
Jeremy Macklin,
Oh, my goodness. He's really going to do it.
I owe you nothing.
Ah!
And the reason why I put him as my start of the week is because if you go over to fantasypros.com, he's number 14. He's number 14. They got lots of guys starting with him. What was that?
That was me taking a risk at finding a nice sound effect that said "duh," but that one was terrifying, and I'm scared, and I peed myself.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson.
Did I say Russell?
Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. With the 17 pack, we put Russell Wilson.
That's that.
I'm not going to count on another severed kidney from Keenan Allen. And
Severed.
Did I
It was severed.
what was it?
dropped off.
It was lacerated.
What's on the field? What is Keenan? Is that your kidney?
I apologize.
I apologize
for that
can
kidney.
Can I get that?
I don't do well with the nerves. I could not be an NFL kicker.
Well, and then there's Jason, and Jason is just chilling out in the
cat.
background with a giant celebratory belt over his shoulder.
Well, champ's gonna champ.
Oh my gosh! Oh, welcome back to present day.
Some of those got me. They got me good.
Favorite moment there? Did you have one? That was Jay Cuddy's moment on blast might be my favorite moment of all time.
Yeah.
I forgot about the Tyler Eifert, and that one was really good. Just out of the blue. Oh, he's a handsome man.
I was like, where is this going? He's like, this is going nowhere.
Nowhere.
He's just very good looking.
Yeah. There are a couple real good ones
I
in there.
stand by it.
Yeah, well, yesterday he was my MVP candidate, so I really can't argue with you there. So, fun look back over the last 300 episodes. I think we've got at least 300 more in us, maybe another 3,000. We'll see.
Let's not push it.
Let's not push it. Okay, we're back. We're into week 9. Let's move on.
News and notes from around the league.
About blew the eardrums right there. All right. Ben Roethlisberger expects to start on Sunday. Oh, what a hero. What an amazingly strong individual after that. What? He was supposed to be out 30 weeks, 40 weeks. He's back in a couple.
I mean, it's just classic Big Ben. Go down with what looks like a catastrophic injury. It is a pretty substantial one, but he still plays.
Yeah. So this is great news for Antonio Brown owners and Sammy Coates owners. And
if he survives, it's good news.
Now, I will say this. It's Big Ben on the road against division foe, the Baltimore Ravens. So
off a bye, too. Ravens got 2 weeks to prepare.
This, to me, is more of an upgrade for just the pass catchers than actually playing Big Ben.
Yeah, I agree. Big Ben is barely in my top 12 this week.
All right. Alex Smith will miss the game. Nick Foles will start.
Alex Smith will miss the game with not a concussion.
Yeah, there's no concussion here. Don't just look over there.
Ignore the man behind the curtain.
Just gets a day off.
Well, this is
he clearly has a concussion.
Speaking of concussions, Spencer Ware didn't practice. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, if he does not clear the protocol, Charcandrick, the Charizard West, I love him.
This is why fantasy football is ridiculous, because I don't want Spencer Ware to be hurt, but everybody spent a lot of money on Char West, so maybe he can be out with not a concussion as well for the Char West owners.
With like he won a trip to Tahiti.
Him and Alex Smith have a business trip.
Tahiti?
You can win those?
On The Price is Right, you can.
Oh, all right.
That's fair. Showcase Showdown.
Yeah.
LeSean McCoy limited at practice. Didn't practice all week.
I think I'm leaning more now that I think he's going to sit.
Oh, that might be wise.
I mean,
of
you have
the Buffalo
you have the
Bills.
Monday night game. You have the bye week after that. So it wouldn't shock me now if Shady sits.
That would be the only
It'd be
way
the right
that I
thing to do.
have confidence in Shady going forward. Because if he got this week off, which would be 2 in a row plus a bye, he gets 3 weeks off, I will actually buy into he's not going to re-aggravate that injury.
James Starks not practicing on Wednesday. They said that he had suited up, but it turns out he's still rehabbing. I do think that Starks was one of those guys that you should have grabbed on the waiver wire if he's still sitting
He's
there.
still probably there.
If he's still there, you need to grab him because he's going to be the guy in the backfield.
He's not owned in many leagues, and the rumor is that he is going to practice on Thursday. Don't know if that means he'll be ready for this week or not, but he's coming.
You know how this works. On Friday, we give you the official in-and-out report, but Jerick McKinnon looks like he's going to play, feeling much better, so we will see on that. Ty Montgomery and Randall Cobb practiced on limited basis on Wednesday. T.Y. Hilton was, quote, reluctant to commit to playing in Week 9 against the Packers. Mike, I know you traded for T.Y. Hilton
I
and
did.
Doug Martin, so how's the production looking?
Oh, I had a really good one play of one of those guys.
Right.
It's been a brutal trade.
Do you expect Hilton to play? It's a lot. There's a ton of hamstring injuries going on lately.
The Colts also have a bye week next week, so this is one of those you kind of get the 2-for-1 situation if they sit Hilton. So don't be surprised if he sits. But he's one of those tougher guys. I believe he's only missed 2 games in his career, so him playing would not be a shock.
Sitting
either.
or not, does it upgrade Donte Moncrief?
Yes.
Okay. And I think we're going to talk about him later.
Yep.
Corey Coleman is expected to play and start against the Cowboys in Week 9, opposite of Terrelle Pryor, assuming he plays. He did miss practice yesterday, so we need to wait and see. But Pryor played the last 2 weeks with the injury, so I expect him out there. Travis Benjamin's dealing with a grade 2 PCL sprain. It's going to be rest and rehab. I doubt he plays this week.
I would agree.
Because playing is the opposite of rest and rehab, from what I know.
Yeah, and
Not the way I play.
Yeah.
I have like one of those, every now and then you just get that gut that says, I think a big week's coming for someone. I'm just throwing this out there. Dontrelle Inman, this could be his
turn in the rotation
turn on the roulette
Well,
wheel.
I would say Travis Benjamin's grade 2 sprain and Tyrell Williams also banged up. That information would funnel towards Dontrelle Inman.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
No, that's solid. Steve Smith didn't practice. Very surprising after the bye. This is talking about Thursday. He didn't even practice on Thursday.
Not
so
expecting him to play.
Not expecting him to play. Mike Wallace is the guy to own there. Dwayne Allen returned to practice, and big news, Ladarius Green, we thought he'd be back. Now it's being reported that there's little chance he plays in Week 9, so ho-hum. If you grabbed him, hopefully you got an IR spot or something once he gets declared out if he doesn't play. That's what we have for the news.
Hey, so before we get into the fantasy forecast, we're going to break down all the matchups. We want to thank today's sponsor, Avast, the global leader in digital security. They're protecting you online against cyber threats. And look, Foot Clan, we know what you're doing. You're typing away. You're searching the interwebs. You're looking for the highlights of that game last night, which some are calling the best baseball game in history. You're trying to find videos. You got that final out, that celebration. Avast, they are quietly lurking around your system like a ninja protecting you, waiting silently to pounce on all these uninvited guests who are trying to get a look at your
A very lightweight ninja.
That's why they're a ninja.
No Chris Farley ninja.
No, not a Beverly Hills ninja. This is a full-on Ninja Turtle. They are the masters of keeping you safe while being lightweight, letting your system run at full speed. More than 400 million people trust Avast to keep all their digital things safe. Look, when a virus or malware brick your device, it's the worst. It is the absolute freaking worst. So Avast is keeping your laptops functional, helping them not be the world's most expensive paperweights. And like we said, they are lightweight, keep you safe while keeping you going full speed. And they're always staying up to date on the latest threats of what the trends, what they're doing out there. They're keeping your phone safe, your laptop safe, your PCs, your Macs, everything. If you need more information, go to avast.com. That's AVAST.com.
We also want to thank Pristine Auction, our good friends at Pristine Auction. If you haven't been over there, pristineauction.com, and browsed what's available, you're missing out on an opportunity. Even if you don't bid on anything or buy anything, It's just awesome. As a sports fan, we just talked about how much we revere sports. Seeing the different items up for bid. I just had lunch yesterday with Jared, who owns PristineAuction.com, and when you're in the autograph business, it's you want to know that you're purchasing from a reputable company, a company that makes sure that what they receive and what they're selling you is authentic, JSA certified. This is what they're about. You can go on right now, you Cubbies fans. There is a signed Chris Bryant Fly the W flag on there. Can you imagine hanging that in your man cave, your woman cave, to celebrate what just happened? If you're a football fan, there is an enormous quantity of available merchandise.
Just check out our wall, man.
Just check out our wall.
On the video.
Oh, we got a new one up.
Yeah.
We do. We have Odell Beckham Jr. just showed up on the wall today. We got a Todd Gurley autographed jersey yesterday. So these guys are the absolute best in the business. Check it out. Make it part of your daily routine to just see what's available from your home team. PristineAuction.com, PRISTINE auction.com. Jason, you chuckled. What is going on?
Well, I'm just saying, before you hit that next button, you need to hit a different button, and that's called the
Breaking news.
You read me loud and clear, brother. Jonathan Stewart
Oh, no.
missed practice today with some undisclosed injury. But come on, J. Stu.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Oh, and our waivers just ran.
I looked at the clock at the exact same moment. I was like, can I get Cameron Artis-Payne real quick?
I could have really used him.
Well, perhaps you can get Cameron Artis-Payne. He is worth a pickup while we do not know yet what's going on. The injury history of Jonathan Stewart says that he's probably out at least 6 years.
Was that just on his schedule?
Yeah, so
Did he just say, he was on his way to practice and his Apple Watch went off and it said, you're scheduled to miss practice
I think
today?
his Apple Watch probably broke his wrist.
Oh.
It's like,
wait, what was that
bone.
other injury that just came out yesterday, Mike? What was it, tooth injury?
Ryan Matthews apparently missed practice with a tooth problem.
A tooth.
Look, and I'm not gonna fault the man. If you've experienced tooth pain, it's pretty horrendous.
Yeah.
But it's
a first that I've seen.
Ryan
You're telling me
Matthews-
Doug Peterson doesn't eye roll for a second right there?
Ryan Matthews, I try to carry the banner for you, my friend. You got to give me something.
Yeah, well, my starts of the week are going to reflect that toothache pretty well. Are we ready to move on? Did you have a thought, Jason?
I did have a thought because you're talking about this hard to carry the banner, and we had the Cubs game last night. You realize now that the Cubs have won the World Series, that in all major sports, the now longest title drought is our Arizona Cardinals.
Wow.
They are second on the list.
Yeah.
Well, now they're first. Thanks, Cubs.
All right, let's get into week 9.
Fantasy forecast.
A few quick updates for Thursday Night Football. Tevin Coleman, if you didn't hear yesterday, he is out for tonight. So it is the I almost said Jaquiz Rogers. It is the Devonta Freeman and Teron Ward. Teron Ward would be the backup slash he'll get some carries. He had them last week. Doug Martin, Jaquiz Rogers are out. That's Anton Smith, in my opinion. Now at this point, it's not exciting, but it is what it is. And then Russell Shepard is doubtful. Is that correct?
That's what I've heard. Yes.
Cameron Brate comes into the focus a little bit
Well,
there.
and pronounced with an Humphreys.
Certainly. Teams on bye this week: Arizona, Chicago, Cincinnati, Houston, New England, and Washington. Just to remind you, you play a player from those teams, and you'll get 0.0 points.
You're a dummy face.
And next week, if you're planning ahead for your bye week, Buffalo, Detroit, Indianapolis, and Oakland. So this is the time you can go buy a player that maybe you got an Andrew Luck and you need to grab somebody
Or
that has a good matchup next week at the quarterback position.
if you have someone on Buffalo, Detroit, Indianapolis, Oakland, this week is a good time to trade them. You're coming right before the bye week. If you can get a guy who's already passed their bye, sometimes with different options, it's too late to do on Thursdays, but that's a trick to use for the next few weeks.
I agree. It's especially nice. Maybe it's Derek Carr's turn to, maybe trade him against Denver. So.
Yep.
All right, let's get into the first matchup.
Steelers at Ravens.
All right, Steelers, Ravens, divisional matchup, 43.5 point over-under. I expect this to be a fight. You got Big Ben.
Yes.
We just talked about him back on the field. Here's what I want to know, guys. Yesterday on the radio, I was asked a lot of questions that were this guy, okay, Anton Smith or Terrance West? A lot of people asking Terrance West questions. Maybe they're scared off from this last performance. How do you feel about Terrance West starting him tonight against the Steelers?
I'm still comfortable.
I'm sorry, not tonight, but Sunday.
Yeah. I'm still comfortable doing it. Look, Kenneth Dixon is my guy. I nominated him in the election special to be a breakout. I'm not saying that this is happening this week, and by all accounts, Terrance West is still the starter. Dixon is probably going to get more involved this week, but like I said, West is still the main guy, and the Steelers' run defense is beatable, especially for fantasy. So at Ravens at home, I think West is still a fine play.
Go ahead, Jay.
No, I just want to throw in my agreement with that. I don't think West is done because of his last game against the Jets. That was a good run D. I think Terrance West is still the lead dog there.
Yeah, I mean, if they give him the ball, which he's the leading candidate by far for carries, you're going to have some sort of production there. So what are the other storylines from this game? We already talked about Ladarius Green. How do you feel about Sammie Coates in this matchup?
I think I'm okay. It's especially if it's Big Ben back. You had Coates, who he's essentially been resting the broken finger and the laceration now for 3 to 4 weeks. I know he's been in and out of the game a little bit, but you had the bye week. We haven't seen an update on how the hand is doing, but it's got to be better. So I'm okay throwing him out there if you have to. I would probably rather throw it if you're going moonshot with Steve Smith-Senior missing, Mike Wallace, the deep threat for the Ravens, going against the 26th worst passing defense in the Steelers. I would rather pivot over to that.
Okay, yeah, I mean, Joe Flacco, 44 pass attempts a game. That's first in the league again. They're throwing the ball, and Mike Wallace should be on the other end of that. Anything else from this game you guys want to focus on, or should we move on?
Moving on.
Yeah, you're playing Lev Bell.
Cowboys at Browns.
All right, Cowboys-Browns. Jason with the hot tip, starting Lev Bell.
Yeah, just word.
Whoa,
word to the wise.
You're gonna start him?
I love Michael.
Yeah, I'm gonna start him over
everybody.
You will. All right, the Cowboys, the Browns. The Browns are 7-point underdogs at home in this game, 48.5-point over/under, and all signs point to Cody Kessler starting this matchup.
Yes,
congratulations. Browns fans.
He's been practicing. You got to see what you have at this point. The season is gone.
He hasn't been atrocious.
Sure, and that's why you got to keep playing. And what I would say that stinks for fantasy players, because if I'm playing Terrelle Pryor or Corey Coleman, I would much prefer Josh McCown.
If McCown was playing, I would be willing to throw that shot in the dark Corey Coleman play, but I don't expect Coleman to do much right now with Kessler active, and I need to temper my expectations even on Terrelle Pryor. He did have good games with Cody Kessler. The problem now is that he's not the only target with Coleman coming back. I think the combination of all three of them being active with a good Dallas defense just makes me not excited about really any single player over. I would be willing to start Terrelle Pryor because he's a beast, but I'm not excited about it, and I don't love anyone else over there, including the running backs.
How are you guys feeling about the Crow? Isaiah Crowell, look, he's had a couple good games here, getting in the end zone the last couple weeks. So for fantasy purposes, I mean, it's been
beggars can't
fine.
be choosers right now at running back. I mean, with the bye weeks, with the players that are injured, with Jonathan Stewart randomly missing practices, I think Isaiah Crowell, it's like Terrance West. I mean, you have volume, probably not an exceptional performance, but he's also not going to destroy your team.
We have them all rated right about the same, 18, 19, and 20. A low-end RB2, which is great right now, like Andy's saying, considering bye weeks and other issues.
So one of the things I wanted to bring up in this game is, look, Dak Prescott, we all have him in the top 10 this week.
Well, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but I think this is a great game for him.
4 and 7. I'm guessing Jason's going to be the one talking about him a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the other side of the ball, with Prescott, you have Ezekiel Elliott. We don't need to talk about him. You're rolling him out there in a juicy matchup. Des Bryant, he's a start. It's time to stop. It's nice to not have to talk about Des Bryant. Will he come back? He's back on the field. A great matchup. The Browns are 31st against the run, 25th against the pass.
One of the things that people overlooked last week, because Des Bryant had a good game, but he only had 4 receptions.
That's what Des Bryant does.
But, Mike, do you know how many targets Des Bryant had?
Yeah, this is crazy.
What did he have? Double-digit targets?
He had 14 targets.
That's some That's some poor targets.
Yeah.
But
But the point is that Dak is looking his way. He is the number one target, and that's only going to bode well as their chemistry comes together.
How is the number one target? I mean, the second wide receiver on the team, though.
Oh, stop it.
Never.
You have to give up on.
We need to find
Beasles.
a cure for the Beasles.
Yeah, that's all he needs.
There is no cure.
He's in my heart. Time to get a shot.
Jaguars at Chiefs.
Oh, Bortles and Foles strolling down the road together. Wow. This is going to be exciting. 45.5 point.
Do people actually have to
over-under
attend this game?
Yeah, they do. In Kansas City. Kansas City is 7.5 point over-under. Or, I'm sorry, 7.5 point favorites. We talked about Char West and Spencer Ware. Whoever's playing.
Whoever's the starter
is locked and loaded. You have to love it. The Jags cannot stop the run. They're 27th against the run this year. They've allowed 1.3 rushing touchdowns per game, which is 28th in the league. It's atrocious. I really like Travis Kelce. He's my start of the week at the tight end position, so we'll talk about him shortly. What do you do with Jeremy Maclin? Is he just 100% a name anymore? I mean, can you really start him?
Look, the dirty cake, Jeremy Maclin. It's
so dirty right now.
He is what he is. I mean, if you go in anticipating I'm going to get 4 to 6 receptions and anywhere from 40 to 70 yards, I mean that's not terrible. It's good. The problem with Maclin is just those expectations that have been built up over years. He plateaued with the Eagles, and he's kind of trending down as far as fantasy production. But I agree with you that he's living right now on the name of Jeremy Maclin. But for fantasy purposes, you might have a better option. You might have a better option on your waiver wire.
You have a lot of
what is happening?
You have a lot of variables in this game that leads me to prefer to stay away. I'm certainly playing the Kansas City running back, and I'm also going to roll out Travis Kelce as he looked really good with Foles. But on one side of the ball, you have a new quarterback in Nick Foles. You don't know how that might change the offense. Will he go to Jeremy Maclin deeper, or will he, as many backup quarterbacks do, go to Tyreek Hill and avoid Jeremy Maclin and try to avoid the best defender on the other side of the field? Then on the other side of the ball for the Jaguars, you have a new offensive coordinator as Greg Olsen is out. Will they force the ball to Allen Robinson more? Will they take deeper shots to him? There are just so many things here that are question marks that I prefer to stay away where I don't know it's safe. I refuse to believe that Bortles will be able to garbage time against the Kansas City Chiefs the way that he did last week, so I am still very low on Blake Bortles this coming week.
Do you start or sit Allen Robinson?
That's going to be completely dependent on who is on my team because I have him as I believe he might be
23rd.
Okay, 23rd. So, if you have better options, yes, but he's a startable player for sure.
Maclin
Allen Robinson or
say Maclin or Robinson?
I'd start Robinson.
I would as well.
Okay.
I was going to ask you Allen Robinson or Mike Wallace.
That's a great question. I think if Steve Smith is out, I would probably prefer to have Mike Wallace.
What about Allen Robinson or Donte Moncrief?
Donte Moncrief for sure. He's ahead of both of those guys.
All right. Any other storylines from this game you guys want to get into?
Nope.
Jets at Dolphins.
All right, the Jets take on the Dolphins, 44 point over-under. Dolphins are favored at home in this game by 3.5 points. Matt Forte has risen from the ashes yet again.
Performing what he does. He's a phoenix.
Performing very well. My pump the brakes was completely wrong.
You got him.
Matt Forte.
No, you motivated him.
Well, whatever it was, I didn't help fantasy owners with that prediction, and Matt Forte surprised me. I think he came out and he's scored, and that's what it takes. I mean, he's getting into the end zone. He's catching the underneath passes. This is also Jay Ajayi, his first game after back-to-back 200-yard games, and the bye week. I'm in on Ajayi. How do you guys feel? Obviously, the Jets have a good running defense. This game is in Miami. Let's see where we have Jay Ajayi ranked.
Yeah, look
this
him up
week.
because you have.
I can tell you, Andy has him as both of you have him as an RB1. Andy has him at 9, and you have him at 11. So a lower end RB1. I have him at 14, which is kind of a higher end RB2. And the reason is not because of Jay Ajayi or what I watch. It really is because of the Jets. I think the Jets
number one run defense.
Yeah, I think he's going to be much harder pressed to cut up the Jets. than he has.
Now you made a
his
point.
last few.
You watched Ajayi on film, analyzed every snap he's had this year. Your big point was, hey, when he gets ahead of steam,
Oh, he's great.
he's great. But the Jets have tackled opponents for a loss on 20% of rushing attempts, which is
And-
the second most in the league. That is the opposite of getting ahead of steam. He's not. You don't get to get into the second level.
The counterpoint to what to my film study was that he was never able to break tackles in the backfield. When guys got back there, he was down. It was very easy to tackle him without that head of steam.
So it'll be a very interesting give and take there. I think they're gonna. I mean, he's playing his first game without Arian Foster even in the backfield. It's going to be an interesting game. I think the workload will put him into that top 10 consideration. I don't expect 200 yards.
Sure.
But,
here's
but
the
I think the
thing.
workload will be there.
When you have a team like the Jets, the Jets are literally the number 1 rushing defense and the number 32 out of 32 passing defense. So I think this game is going to necessarily mold more to Ryan Tannehill, to Jarvis Landry, to Kenny Stills. Devontae Parker might be a startable asset this week. Kenny Stills, we brought him up a few days ago. He's a sneaky snart.
Jarvis Landry is ranked very high for me in PPR leagues this week. I think Landry, I know he's kind of an auto start for people, I assume.
I
Yes.
feel like I
But-
don't know how I cannot. Like every time I go to stat Jarvis Landry, it's 7 for 77. That's what I give him.
Mike
Like,
has him at number 5 this week.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
A half point.
Against the Jets passing defense. They're atrocious. I'm concerned for Ajayi. I know I have him. You have him as a running back 1, but that's just on pure volume and maybe lucking into a touchdown here. So, but the passing game, like Jason said, Kenny Stills is probably my favorite moonshot this week.
Final question for this game. Can you trust Quincy Enunwa rest of the season?
yes.
Yeah. For
You
as
have
long as your expectations are not, I've got a wide receiver 1.
What if your
here.
expectations are Decker level?
That's too high for me.
Yeah, I mean Decker was an absolute 1, but they're not far from that in my opinion because he's done it the entire season. I mean, he's had a few bad games, but right off the bat, game 1 when Decker was in there, he was 7 for 54 and a touchdown. The next week, 6 for 92, and if you look at the last 2 weeks, 73 yards, 93 yards, a touchdown in both games. I think you probably should be starting Enunwa.
Lions at Vikings.
All right, this game has one of the lower over-under totals for the week. The Lions travel to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. The Vikings have a 2-game skid right now where they cannot produce on offense. They just, I think they're averaging the least points per game in the league. Tough sledding right now. Tough keeping Sam Bradford upright in the backfield, in the pocket. So what are the big storylines from this game? One of the things that I feel like we have to talk about is Marvin Jones and what he started the year as and what that has forced fantasy owners to do, which I think is to lock him into your lineup no matter the circumstances. Now he faces the Vikings' very, very highly rated pass defense. So what do you do with Marvin Jones this week, and what can we really expect from him rest of season in this Lions offense?
I think rest of season you're looking at a wide receiver 2. Obviously he has that upside, gaining big plays, 20 or more yards on 11 of his 36 receptions. That's a great percentage. But then you douse that with the cold water of the Vikings defense. They've only allowed a 40-yard reception once. So you can't get deep on the Vikings. Xavier Rhodes, Griffin. The whole entire Vikings defense is tremendous.
Marvin Jones started the year also with a pretty nice schedule. I mean, he opened up with that hot game against the Colts. Week 3 against Green Bay, who's just had a terrible secondary this year, was his monstrous 205-yard, 2-touchdown game. When he has played better defenses, like when he played Houston this last week and was 3 for 33, I think we see that Marvin Jones has spent his career not being a wide receiver 1, not being covered by really elite corners, where he's always been. I mean, had his career with A.J. Green. Even in college, he wasn't the number 1 on his own team. So this is a game I expect him to struggle with, and I would
Here's
like
a good
to start.
question for you, Jay.
Sure.
Let's say you're flexing a player. You've got a couple wide receivers locked in, and you're choosing between Marvin Jones and Theo Riddick in the same game. Riddick off the very nice week last week. Which of those two guys do you start?
I would much prefer to start Theo Riddick. I think both guys have the same chance at a touchdown, or close to it, maybe a slight edge for Marvin Jones. But the baseline for Theo Riddick, I know Theo Riddick's going to touch the ball over 10 times. Marvin Jones could finish the game with 2 catches. So I'm going to take that, especially in the flex role. I'm going to take that security since they both have decent upside.
Now, we've taken Matthew Stafford down a peg this week. Obviously, in Minnesota, he's our 18th ranked quarterback. We have him ranked 16, 17, and 20 individually.
I was just going to ask, what do you do with Matty Snapback?
I think you find a better option this week unless you just need kind of baseline numbers. I mean, I can't see myself starting him. I'd rather start Kaepernick. I'd rather start Bortles. I'd rather start Prescott. I'd rather start Rivers. There are a number of guys, obviously, that we have ranked higher than Matthew Stafford, and it just comes from the matchup. That's all it is.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, man, I liked when you were looking at this matchup from last week, I thought Bradford would be a solid play. I still think he's a streamable guy, but that offensive line is just so bad. I mean, you're talking, and for the running game of the Vikings, you're talking historically bad right now. Their yards per carry as a team.
So what do you even do with McKinnon or Asiata? Asiata.
Asiata has been okay. We talked about people having bye weeks and injuries, and there's not a lot of running backs. I've had to start him in a couple of places the last 2 weeks, and he's been fine. With McKinnon being back, this is a game where because the opposing defense is so bad, they might be able to break free and have some production. So I think you could do worse than starting McKinnon or Asiata.
You could do worse.
Yeah.
All right. We've got
solid endorsement.
One more game to preview on today's show. We'll have the rest of the matchups tomorrow, and we also have our starts of the week here momentarily.
Eagles at Giants.
All right. Let's talk Eagles-Giants. The Eagles are favored in this game in New York.
Interesting.
And if I had not already used my almost upset of the week on the Buccaneers for tonight's game, I would certainly use it on the Giants in this game. You have Eli Manning taking on the rookie Carson Wentz. We have the backfields that are an assorted array of I'm not sure for both sides.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
And then you kind of have the locked and loaded guys. Jordan Matthews, I think, is startable this week. The Giants are only 22nd against the pass, and then Odell Beckham Jr. is obviously in the lineup. Can you have any confidence about the other wide receivers on either side of the ball?
No.
You really haven't seen Shepard come out and give you a fantasy-worthy performance.
Yeah, nor Cruz. I mean, these guys, it's hard to trust either. So to the point of I'm not going to play. I'm not playing anybody else. I'll play Jordan Matthews and Odell Beckham, and then I'm going to avoid if possible.
At the running back position, you have to pick one on both sides. Which guys are you picking?
It's definitely going to be Rashad Jennings for the Giants. He's been okay. If you look at how he started the year and then he got injured and then came back with a bad matchup, I'm not – we were a little bit higher on him, and I think the injury has kind of given us this recency bias where we forget that he might actually be a pretty good running back. Now, this isn't a great matchup for Philadelphia, so that's more the reason that I have him a little lower in my rankings. But I believe in Jennings going forward. So this you could do again. I think Jennings is a guy you can start.
Jennings or either of the Minnesota running backs?
I would take Jennings. I think Darren Sproles is electric, but he can't take that kind of pure RB1 workload on a regular basis. The Giants have a pretty good run defense, and I have no trust in Ryan Matthews or any other.
He's the guy, Jason. Doug Peterson said.
Look, we're about to get into starts, and we'll talk about the actual guy in that backfield. So I don't see another huge storyline here. You're not starting Zach Ertz. If you want to ask me whether you start Zach Ertz, the answer is no.
Yeah.
I had a couple questions on that yesterday. He's not on the same page with Carson Wentz. It's not the Bradford-Ertz combination we saw last year. It's the opposite. I mean, you have, other than the first week where Ertz got hurt, It's just been terrible for that combination. So I don't see anything else that we need to get into here. Do you guys see anything?
No. Let's do it.
Starts of the week.
All right, these are the guys we have confidence in week number 9. We have each selected a player at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end to dish out, to get behind. Who wants to start this thing off?
I'll jump off the building here. That was weird.
That's super weird. That's a great way to kick it off, Mike.
I will start this segment with the quarterback. Look, I'm going famous Jameis. He plays tonight. Atlanta is allowing an average of 300 yards and over 2 touchdowns per game. Jameis Winston has been getting it going of lately. I know that he can be a hot, cold type of guy, but I'm expecting a big game from him and Mike Evans tonight. And we don't know what the running game is, so I look for them to have to lean on the pass a little bit more.
If I was cooking a fantasy stew, I would want to mix in one part defense is going to give up points, so Tampa's going to give it up to Atlanta.
Sure.
One part no running game, and then one part Mike Evans. I mean, this is the
Only
perfect
one part Mike Evans.
This is the recipe for success at quarterback. So you have to be behind Jameis Winston. I think he's been in the headlines for us for a few weeks now.
Yeah, he has so many plus matchups, and there are more to come with him. So if you hold on to Jameis, just saying.
Now, Jason, you have my stream of the week. No,
Really?
I'm sorry. Somebody.
No. He was not streamable because he was too.
We all wanted to stream.
We all
him.
wanted to stream this guy, but his ownership was just slightly too much. We recommended that you stream him over our streams of the week if he's on your waiver wire because he's actually my number 4 quarterback this week.
They've not recovered yet from those streaming.
Yeah,
You should say his name now.
The Dak attack. The Dak attack is back. Dak to the future. Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott started. He started the year, as far as throwing the ball, really safe, right? There was all this, look, he's not throwing interceptions. He's managing the game well. In his first 3 games, how many passing touchdowns did Dak Prescott have?
1.
You are correct.
Yes.
It is 1 in his first 3 games. In his last 4 games, you kind of have that mentality of, he throws a little bit. He has 8 touchdowns in his last 4 games. He also has 2 more touchdowns on the ground. So he's averaging 2 per game through the air. He's pretty much averaging then half a touchdown a game on the ground, and he faces the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns give up.
Who does he face?
The Cleveland Browns.
All right.
Their defense is a delight for fantasy, and so I have no hesitation starting Dak Prescott. You've got Dez Bryant back. This should be a monstrous game.
I'm going with Phillip Rivers. Okay, there is a perception that Tennessee is an upper echelon passing defense. It hasn't been the case over the last 3 weeks. Tennessee has given up 8 touchdowns, including 3 in each of the last 2 weeks to quarterbacks. I understand Bortled up a few garbage time ones last week against them. But look, Phillip Rivers is a top 10 quarterback already on the season. Tennessee's defense is softening up. This game's at home in San Diego. I really love the potential for Phillip Rivers and would start him with confidence this week.
Love it.
So we've got Rivers, Dak Prescott, and Jameis Winston. Let's move on to the running back position. I alluded to it. The man to own in Philly. And this is a bit of a leap, right? You have sometimes these start of the weeks or shoe-ins.
I'm surprised you're starting Ryan Matthews.
I'm not starting Ryan Matthews. I'm going with Darren Sproles. Darren Sproles, 15 carries last week against Dallas. No toothaches. All of his teeth are clean and healthy. No plaque. Look, Darren Sproles is just Darren Sproles. He does what he does. 6.7 yards from scrimmage per touch. That's 4th in the running back position out of 42 qualified. He just plain gets it done. He always has, and no one wants to give him the rock. It's like a Justin Forsett circumstance where the mindset is you can never give him a workload, but he's produced. And look, Doug Peterson came out and said this week, it might be time to kind of say out loud that he's the guy as opposed to saying
and
it
then
just.
Then he was a coward.
Yeah, and said he's going to get Ryan Matthews going. I'm going with Darren Sproles. I think he's worth your consideration this week as well.
I am looking at that decision of Ryan Matthews and Darren Sproles
Oof.
in my money league.
What's it, PPR?
It's a half point, and I'm starting Darren Sproles.
If I had to choose between those 2 guys only, I would also choose Darren Sproles. I don't necessarily agree about the start Darren Sproles. He certainly could have a big game. I just think it's a tougher.
You guys both have him
matchup.
outside. Well, Mike has him at 22, Jason 28. I have him at 15, so clearly my start of the week.
I will take it next. I'm going with Carlos Hyde. People worried about the injury. He is practicing in a non-contact jersey, and you might go, is he back? Should I worry? Are they going to?
Can he play in that? Do they let you play in the non-contact?
Because
that would be mine. I would move it to the must start.
Number 1 running back of the week. That would be incredible.
You can't touch him. No touching.
So Carlos Hyde is going to be fine. He missed the Tampa Bay game. He had the bye week. Given those two things, the fact that he's already had a bye and he missed a week, he's already got 6 touchdowns on the year, and he faces the New Orleans Saints, who have given up 12 touchdowns on the ground alone. So Carlos Hyde is a guy I think we haven't got to see him with. Colin Kaepernick's getting more into the offense. They're running him more, doing more of the zone reads. I believe that he's going to fit this system really nice with Kaepernick. He should have a great game. I would not be afraid to start him at all.
Now you kind of ruined my shtick here, Jay. You didn't really read through my starts here.
I did not,
because I was going with a combo of Dr. Ingram and Mr. Hyde.
Oh,
I'm starting them both.
Ingram and Hightower?
Hyde.
No, Hyde.
Oh,
just that game. You took 2. I stole one.
So I won't talk about Hyde anymore. But look, Mark Ingram, I'm still starting him. I still have confidence that Sean Payton will not be a.
Ingram came out today and took full responsibility for his own benching and said he's known since Pee Wee that you can't fumble if you want to play. But that's what you want to see, right?
Yeah.
From a coaching perspective, you want to put a guy back in the game, he takes responsibility for his own benching.
Mark Ingram is still the starting running back for the New Orleans Saints, and they still get to go take on the San Francisco 49ers.
Those things have not changed.
No, and the 49ers are the worst running defense in the history of the entire world.
Is that factual?
I think
No,
I looked it up. That's
I'm being
pretty
hyperbolic,
close.
but they are for sure the worst rushing defense on the year. So I like Mark Ingram in this contest, and I still have the confidence to throw him out there. That's all I'm saying.
All right, let's move on to the wide receivers. Jason, you want to kick this one off?
Sure, I'm going to go with the one who stinks. Look, we gotta stay in the flames here with Davante Adams.
I love it.
He's clearly become an important part of the Green Bay Packers offense. He has now the absolute trust of Aaron Rodgers, and he's going up against Indianapolis in a game that should just be juicy. It's 54 points is what Vegas has set the over-under at. That is the highest. Have we seen it that high this year? I
don't know if we've seen it over
53 and a half. I remember a 53 and a half.
I
so
do as well.
The point is, Vegas is saying, look, they believe this game is just going to be points flying on the board. And even if Davante Adams does not get a touchdown like he did not last week, if he goes out and gets 12 catches again, sign me up. So I believe he has a really good game, and I do think he will get a touchdown this week. So start your Davante Adams.
What has helped for Davante Adams is Aaron Rodgers. You know that massive protection that he gets, where he has 8 seconds to throw the ball. When he throws it, the camera kind of cuts away, but if you saw what he was doing, he's down there, he sits, he holds a vigil, he lights candles, and he's praying that Davante Adams will catch the ball. He does this every time.
Really helped him
every
a lot.
time he throws him the ball, so that's been paying off.
He is catching the ball.
I know.
12 of 14 targets last week.
Yeah, the one who
So,
stinks.
who's your start of the week at wide receiver, Mike?
I'm going with Donte Moncrief.
Love it.
Look, the Green Bay, the secondary, they are very beatable. T.Y. Hilton is banged up, may not play, but even if T.Y. Hilton plays, he could just be a distraction as he was last week. Moncrief, back from his shoulder scapula injury, he's the go-to red zone target for Andrew Luck. He scored again. So in 2 full games this year, Moncrief has scored, and he would have scored twice if there wasn't a ridiculous holding call on a 45-yard touchdown last week. He's been my guy all year. We finally get to unleash him again, so I'm starting Donte Moncrief.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and start Stefon Diggs this week. I don't believe that Diggs is somebody that you can rely on week in and week out, and I think he's going to hurt fantasy owners in the long term if you are relying on him as a 1 or 2. That being said, this week's matchup against Detroit, what I saw from a seemingly healthier Stefon Diggs last week, I'm going to go with it. And it's a bit of a gut play. It's a bit of the fact that Detroit's defense has given up 19 touchdowns to the wide receiver position this year, which is most in the league. I like that the game's at home. He looks offense. He looks healthier.
He looks offense.
He looks healthier, and the offense should perk up at home. So
if he comes on strong, then we're going to look for more guys in the future that look offense.
Dude,
yes, you want to look offense.
I was going to say looking offensive can help you play football.
Yeah,
No, he wasn't looking offensive. He was looking offense.
I'm going with Diggs. I'm going with Diggs after 8 catches on 13 targets last week. I'm gonna give you my tight end, and this is an endorsement of Zeus. Travis Kelce's my start of the week at the tight end position this week. With Foles in the game for the majority of last week, Kelce was 7 for 101 with a touchdown. Here's the thing that's nice about Travis Kelce. He has the 4th highest reception rate on targets amongst tight ends. So he is the definition of a safety blanket for an incoming quarterback. I like it. I like Kelce to have a consistent week. He's my start of the week.
I like it a lot. I'm going to go with my guy in Coby Fleener. Coby Fleener's
I thought about it.
He's had some big games. He's had some bad games. How do you know when those games will come? Well, I think one good indicator of that is if you look at his 2 monstrous games. One came against the Atlanta Falcons, really kind of easy to beat secondary. The other came against Carolina, a really easy to beat secondary. And now he gets the San Francisco 49ers. Sign me up for some Coby Fleener. We say it before, but he's the type of guy where in a sea of mediocre fantasy plays at the tight end where you're hoping for kind of touchdown, I would much rather play the upside chance of Fleener with the chance that he goes out and just has 4 fantasy points than other guys. But this week I expect he will get it done.
It was I'm going to temper that slightly just with this information. Now, I agree with you. He's more about efficiency than he is quantity. Last week, Josh Hill played a career high in snaps, 61.
Yeah,
61, 80%. Do you know what the snap count was for Coby Fleener last week? 34%.
It was the exact same for the Carolina game. Carolina game, Josh Hill vastly outsnapped him, and that was when he had 6 for 74 and a touchdown. That's just the role that those players have been playing snap-wise.
Well, he certainly can't block.
Yeah, you're not bringing Coby Fleener in to run the ball.
No. Maybe this was like a package deal. Hightower comes in, and you just put Josh Hill in the game.
Yeah,
All backups.
Yeah. So, Mike, round out our starts of the week.
All right, my start of the week. A question for you and the Flint Clan, everybody out there. Who's playing the Detroit Lions?
That's the Minnesota Vikings.
That's the tight end I'm going to start. Kyle Rudolph. Look, Detroit is absolutely the bottom of the barrel when it comes to defense against the tight end position. You're talking a tight end. When a team has played Detroit, which they do that frequently, a tight end has only not scored twice.
Wow, he's really looking offense.
Two of 8 games, the Lions have not allowed a touchdown to the tight end. Kyle Rudolph is that's what he does. He's a touchdown machine with Sam Bradford. So that's my start of the week.
Well, I'd close the show out if it were not for a very, very important segment.
Jason Moore's ironclad, locked and loaded, 100% guaranteed boom boom kicker of the week.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody has more respect for the kicker position than Jason Moore. So, Jason, give us your locked and loaded, 100% guaranteed boom boom kicker of the week.
Well, last week I went with the old guy, 43-year-old
Anthony Hopkins?
Adam Vinatieri.
Sorry.
The number one kicker.
Sure.
And he stunked. So this week, I'm not going with him. I'm going with a 41-year-old kicker who's number 2, and that's Matt Bryant. Actually, he should have a monstrous game. Mike has had a theory that has been proving true week in, week out, which is the Thursday night game. One of the kickers on the Thursday night game.
Pick the favorite team.
Pick the favorite team, and that kicker has been performing. given that kicker is also currently the number 2 kicker on the year and that he meets my requirements of being over 40 years old.
Sure.
Matt Bryant.
Matt Bryant's your
Locked
he's your boom boom
loaded boom kicker of the week.
AARP kicker of the week.
Yes.
All right, that does it for today's show. Remember, this afternoon on Twitter at the FF Ballers, we're going to have a special. Just let me get to it. I said on Twitter at the FF Ballers, you follow us, and then you'll see the Periscope pop up. It's very easy.
All right.
You can do it on just Periscope.
I'll take him out back.
We're gonna celebrate our 300th show with some giveaways, answering your fantasy questions. Mike will be. I think you're shaving the beard for 300, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Is that what I heard?
Stay tuned for that, and also stay tuned for I can grow a full giant beard overnight.
Okay.
So don't be surprised when it's back tomorrow.
All right. It's like Westworld. They take you
Yes.
in and they put you back together, and your beard is back every morning.
Hey, shout out Fantasy Jocks. Thank you for sponsoring the studio. The promo code is Footballers.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers.